All right. Good morning. Good morning. Be well, community. This is Wendy Robinson, and I'm here today to give you 3 reasons you should stalk your ideal client. Now, these Saturday webinars were Carmen's idea um, to give you guys a way to get a little bit more information, a little bit more one on one interaction. Um, Rather than just reading posts in the group. And so my hope is that as folks join in, they'll interact with me by asking questions, by unmuting themselves, or by using the chat box. But this is going to be a very short presentation. I basically want to give you 3 reasons why I think it's important that you stalk your ideal client online. And what I mean by stalk them, I mean you need to really follow them around to the different groups that they're in, to the different pages that they like. And there's a way to do that, and there's a reason that it's so important, especially when you're just starting out in business. First of all, let me introduce myself. Um, Long slide. My name is Wendy Robinson, and I am the owner and creative, I don't like to call myself a genius, director, maybe owner of Wendy J Creative, where I help small businesses and entrepreneurs get their presence popping online. And what that means is I help them with their website. I help them with content that they may need for their website or for their programs and services. And I also help them with their social media setup and strategy. And so being a co-chair in the Be Well group has really given me some insight into all the different levels that everyone is at in their business. Some folks are at the startup phase, and some folks have they already have their website, they already have their social media presence. And so this particular presentation I'm doing today is really for those folks who are familiar with social media, they know how to use it, they just need a strategy to really help them optimize what they're finding out online. And so here are the 3 things that I help with: web design and development, content creation, and social media. You name it. Those are the 3 categories I usually help people the most with. So I'm going to start off by giving you my ideal client story. My ideal client's name is Chrissy. Chrissy is a married woman with 2 boys and a young woman, a young teenage woman. She's a fitness instructor, and she lives here in Phoenix, Arizona with her family. Chrissy loves to work out. She loves to eat at vegan restaurants, and she loves to cook for her family using fresh vegetables and ingredients that she finds in her local community. Chrissy's dream is to open up a new fitness center in her community. However, right now, she's finding it difficult to find clients. She has a degree in nutrition education, and she prefers to work with clients to get their nutrition under control, but her experience is as a fitness instructor. So she's searching for ways to marry those two expertise together, and she wants help with getting online, getting her website online, getting online in social media, and meeting new people through those channels. She has a small following in her community, people who are around her in her neighborhood, but she wants more interaction online. And so I'm going to help her get her website online, to get her social media online, and to really help her come up with resources and products that she can give away free in order to generate leads to her website through social media channels. Now, that story probably, if you're interested in fitness and nutrition and depending on how I delivered it, probably really captivated you and got you interested. You wanted to hear what was coming next. And so when I work with my clients, instead of creating a quote unquote client profile, which is what most of the gurus out there will tell you to do, I help my clients create a client story. Now, some of the people that I work with are just starting out, so they don't have clients to draw from. My story actually comes from a actual client that I had named Chrissy a couple of years ago. But she embodies and she has all of the qualities of most of the people that come to me. Most of the people that come and ask me for help are married with children, and they perform some type of one-on-one personal service in their business. This client story format can apply to anyone, however. So that's why I put together the tool that I shared with you guys earlier this week so that you can create your own story. Stories help people engage. Stories are a way to capture people's attention, and they also help to keep you focused on when you're creating other resources for your business or you're creating strategies for marketing your business online.
Wendy, I have a question.
Sure.
So for me, I haven't met my ideal client. I have an idea, especially with regards to the 3 programs that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So in making a client story, is my overall story for just the overall business, or would I be breaking down my stories per program?
Well, let's think about it this way. When you talk about your ideal client, you might, because you have 3 different programs, your ideal client may only need one of them, right?
Correct.
So you could just create an overall story that encapsulates all 3, or position your story in such a way that, for instance, you could talk about someone who needs advocacy services because they don't have family members, or their education level is at they have a low education level, and they find it hard to read materials, and I'm just throwing things out there. Whatever reason they need advocacy, no matter what your program is, that's where you should center your story.
Okay.
Why do people need advocacy?
Okay.
And you could break down, you could create 3 stories. And again, these client stories are for your benefit and for marketing purposes. You don't have to use them in all your marketing. They're basically a way for you to introduce your services as you go about networking with people, creating blog posts online. You can use parts of your story in your blog posts, in your materials, as you start to generate leads online and get familiar and create an audience online. But I would start with an overview, an overarching story of why people need advocacy in the first place, and not focus on the 3 different programs. And then once you have that under your belt and you feel comfortable, then you could actually create 3 sub-stories for each of your programs.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
So that takes me to your ideal client story. And I was hoping that we had some more participants on today that they could share their stories. Venus, have you had a chance to start your story? Would you like to share some of it with us?
I started my story and I said that my ideal client, her name is Janice. And Janice lives right here in Mesa, Arizona. And she is trying to understand more about healthcare, not just in getting healthy, but all the different channels of healthcare and how it affects her family as far as cost goes, as far as medicine goes. She wants to know everything in order for her to become her own advocate. So that's where I started at. I didn't get down to the different subsections that you have, but I I thought about that because in essence, that's what H3P was created for people to actually understand how to become their own advocates.
Okay.
And we deal with health literacy in that. And so that's where Janice comes in. So she is my ideal client.
Okay, one of the things that I'll tell you is I want you to add in at the beginning of the story more about who Janice is and who her family is and how they look at her. Just one
Okay.
or two sentences. You could say, she has children. They look to her. Maybe one child has special needs, and she doesn't have time because of that special needs child to do as much research as she needs to do. So that's one reason she could reap the benefits of having an advocate, and then go into why or what her family needs as far as the medicine, doctors, et cetera, et cetera. So, and the reason we do that, the reason I like my clients to talk about the demographics of their client is because that gives you indicators of where to find them. So if she doesn't have time to go outside of the home to do research or to, be online, maybe one of the ways you can reach her is by doing a direct mail piece to people in your community. She doesn't have time to get online because she's taking care of her special needs child. And so the way to get her attention is everybody gets their mail at least 2 or 3 times a week, right? I'm a person that only checks my mail 2 or 3 times a week because it's so hot outside. When I drive home, I want to drive into the garage and get into the air conditioning as soon as possible. But people get their mail. And if you create some sort of a creative direct mail piece that captures her attention, then that is a good way to get in front of her. Or if your ideal client is someone who is online all the time, then you want to find groups and chat boards where people like her would go to look for advice. And there you would start to interact with people. You would start to, offer some help when people ask questions on chat boards or in groups. You could answer questions. I was looking for a group the other day to join that had to do with educating people about WordPress. And it wasn't a WordPress group. It was another group for, marketing and, oh goodness, I want to say just doing marketing and capturing leads online. It was that type of group. It's called the 6-Figure Chick. And somebody in there was talking about how hard it is to use WordPress. That she loaded her site, she got her theme loaded, and she's just having the hardest time doing some basic things behind the scenes in WordPress, and she was frustrated. Well, I jumped right in there and gave her some help. So you need to find groups like that where you can, quote unquote, stalk your ideal client to see what their problems are. Again, this is great for people who don't already have clients. You can use the feedback and market research that you can get from these groups of other people who offer similar services or the same services as yourself. All right, so maybe in the coming weeks, we can get some more folks to share their ideal client story, or if somebody wants to email me with theirs, I can give them some help. Let's move on. So 3 reasons you should stalk your ideal client. Number 1 is, oh goodness, how do I make this go away? I can't see the top. Anyway, reason number 1, it tells you what resources your ideal client is drawn to. Translation, your competition holds the answer to who your ideal client is. When you're just starting out, like I just said, and you don't have clients, finding someone who offers services similar to yours or who are complementary to yours is a great place to start. Join those groups, get in there and talk to people. Look and read at some of the comments that they're leaving to see where their frustrations are, but also to see what's working for them. And then you can model your services and your products and resources after those comments and questions and information that you receive. All right. Remember, your competition holds the answer to who your ideal client is, and there's nothing wrong with getting in those groups and being a help to those people. Don't just lurk. Now, stalking is um, sometimes a negative, most of the time, a negative word, but I use that word to get your attention. But stalking can be a good thing. Number two, second reason, it tells you when they're online the most. So if your ideal client is a work-at-home mom or a stay-at-home mom, they tend to probably be online when their kids are either at camp or in school or they've gone to bed. And so you need to pay attention to those times, so that when you create your campaigns and you're sharing your expertise and doing your promotions online, you can post them during an optimal time, a time when they're going to be online. Now, if you have a business page on Facebook, there's a great tool called Insights. And if you click that Insight tab when you're on your business page, that page, I think it still shows up in the first top of the page or slightly below it, but it shows you when the fans that are fans of your business page, it shows you when they're online during the day, when most of them are online during the day. And that's a great place to start. So take a look at the insights on your Facebook business page to get an idea of where to start. And then again, when you're online stalking them or you're following their movements in some of these groups, you can pretty much tell when people are online because they tend to come on at least the same time every day or every day during the week. And number three, stalking your ideal client tells you what they're talking about. Translation: learning what they're talking about tells you what they need and want. This goes back to what I said earlier, is people will go online looking for answers or to share their frustrations with what they need and want. And so pay attention to the comments, pay attention to what they're looking for. Just because they're part of someone else's group doesn't always mean that group administrator is going to be there at that moment to help that person. And so when you're a member of that group, when you're looking on these business pages and participating in these groups, you can jump in there and help them if it relates to your expertise. And then also, again, when they are talking about something that works for them, that gives you an indication that you can do the same types of, or you can create the same types of resources in your marketing and in your business. So pay attention to what they need and want. So reason number one is it tells you, or stalking your ideal client online in other groups means that your competition holds the answer to who your ideal client is. You can go in there and do research and find out what they need. Number two is it tells you when they're online the most. And number three is learning what they're talking about tells you what they need and want. So for those three reasons alone, it's always a good practice to get into these groups. And I'm not saying go in there and join 100 groups, because obviously you can't participate. Many of us are working full-time jobs, so we have other responsibilities. But find some groups that have the type of clients that you need and become a mainstay in those groups. Become helpful. Do what you can in there to get your name out there. So, stalk your ideal clients, but be nice, be helpful, and be authentic. Don't be fake with your help, and do it in a nice way, not looking for anything in return, and try not to sell them. Create the relationship first, and then get them over to your page or to your website. And that's when you can offer your services to them and help them with what they need. So, do we have any other questions? Venus?
No, you know what? I'm looking at my insights page now. So I've never ever thought about looking at this page. I know it comes up when they give me my weekly report.
Mm-hmm.
And, not being a social media person, but I'm like I said, I'm cutting my teeth in it, especially in getting the thick of things with it.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually see, like most people look at my page at night,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
So, and it's so funny because one of the main things that I've been focusing on is trying to get all the information that I have out there to the people instead of sporadically posting. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that I've been working on this past week, along with my workshop material. And to see this is amazing. Thank you so much. This is
Yes.
amazing. I never knew.
That's when most of the people are that like your page are online, and that's a great place to start. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't share it during the day, but you can set up, and you don't have to be in there during those times. It's a good idea because you can interact with them live. But it's also, if you can't be online during those hours, you can set up post to post automatically during those times. So you get as much information out to them when they're online, which is a good thing. And maybe, I don't know if you know how to set up a post to post at a different time, but maybe that's
Yeah, I have done it in the past. I just haven't done it lately because I've sort of been recuperating from the surgery. But now that I'm starting to feel like a normal human being again,
Oh, that's great.
I definitely have been sort of backtracking and looking at some of the things that we need to do with our social media.
All right, great.
This is my first starting point. This is awesome.
Yeah. Gives you a lot of information, tells you what posts got the most engagement. Um, you know, Facebook algorithm changes all the time, so it's pretty difficult sometimes to know when your stuff is going to get out and into the news feed. There's definitely things you can do to get it out there more often and create pieces of information that really the algorithm quote unquote likes, so that they push it out and get it out in front of your people more often. All right, so to wrap it up, again, my name is Wendy Robinson. I can be found at wendyjcreative.com. You can email me at wendy@wendyjcreative.com. And if you'd like to schedule a strategy session with me to create a plan for your website, or you need work done on your website, you're creating content for your business, or if you need help with your social media, go to bit.ly/strategy with Wendy and book your session. It's currently $150 for an hour session and then a 30-minute follow-up session. But I'm going to create a coupon code for the Be Well community to take 20% off that rate. I'll post it along with this video later today. So if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to sign off. Everybody have a great Saturday.
You too, Wendy.
Take care, Venus.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.